6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have commit and we have liftoff at 2:13.
On April 11th, 1970, at 7:13 p.m., Apollo 13 took off. It was supposed to be the third mission scheduled to land on the moon's surface. Their mission while on the moon's surface was to perform selenological inspections. Selenological meaning the study of how the moon behaves in space and what kind of energy it gives off and receives. And sample materials in the Frommer formation, as well as to deploy an Apollo Lunar Surface Experiments Package, ALSEP for short. This unfortunately didn't go to plan after some complications with the ship's systems caused it to blow up during their travel from low Earth orbit to the moon. You might be asking why the ship blew up. Well, there was a job that the crew had to do, which was to stir the liquid O2 to make sure that it didn't settle at the bottom of the tank before Mission Control ran their daily tests. A faulty wire that went unnoticed during pre-liftoff tests caused a spark to be generated, which in turn set fire to the extremely flammable O2, causing it to explode. There was also another problem, which was the fact that one of the Stage 2 engines didn't work, making their life more difficult when it came to getting into low Earth orbit. Before I tell you how the astronauts survived this ordeal, let's get to know the rocket first. The Saturn V, which flew all the moon missions, was the most powerful rocket ever made for its time, 1967 to 1972. It's still in the top 3 list of the most powerful rockets ever made by mankind, only topped by the Falcon Heavy. It was capable of expelling 5 million pounds of thrust out of the 5 main engines alone, and 3 million in the second stage. Anyway, back to the crisis. Only a matter of seconds after the blast, the team had to make decisions, and fast. If they waited too long, they'd die of hypoxia. They had to do something that they only would have practiced in simulations, and never would have thought of to interpret into real life. They used the lunar module as a lifeboat. This thing had just enough resources to keep 2 people alive for 3 days. They were going to have to live in it with 3 people for 4 days. The only way this was possible was if they powered down each of the systems except for the life-sustaining ones. As the days went by, the lunar module's temperatures kept going down to the point of a refrigerator. Oxygen was running low, and food and water were scarce. Fred Haise got an infection, which couldn't be fixed. They also had another problem. The air filters weren't enough. There was too much CO2 in the lunar module that it was suffocating them. Luckily, they were able to make a custom plug for another filter with duct tape, and other things they had on board. Finally, after a long 4-day journey, they realized that they were coming in way too shallow to enter the Earth's atmosphere, so they had to do an emergency burn to make sure they would be able to re-enter. After all of this, all the crew had to do was go through re-entry. They jettisoned the lunar module and braced for impact. The heat shield was hit during the explosion, and if that failed, everything would have been lost. Finally, after going through hell and back, the crew splashed down in the South Pacific Ocean on April 17th, 1970. Thank you guys so much for watching. The documentary that I used will be down in the description if you want to go watch it. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time.